Jonathan Schanzer is the Vice President of Research at the Foundation for Defensive Democracy. He's also a former terrorism analyst at the Treasury Department, and that's one of the areas of expertise we like to draw upon, Jonathan, when we speak to you, is your time in the Treasury Department. And you've been fairly outspoken about what we've learned so far about this cash payment. How does what we've learned over the last 24 hours impact the story?
Well, now it looks as if the release of those hostages were directly contingent upon the delivery of that cash. The administration is essentially saying now that because this was cash that we were going to give the Iranians anyway, that it's not ransom. But I would say that it's not ransom, especially the way the Iranians look at this. In other words, they see the release of those prisoners as directly tied to the delivery of cash that they believe was owed to them. And that is an extremely dangerous precedent to set, and really what we're watching right now is a semantics debate in the White House.
And it keeps on going. This is a story several weeks now, still in the making. You have an interesting part of the story that I think our viewers probably haven't heard a lot about, and that is how the cash actually got to Iran. What plane carried that cash? And why that's important. Tell us a little bit about Iran Air's role in all this and why it matters.
Sure. So Iran Air was a designated terrorist entity, so designated by the Treasury Department, approved by the White House because of its facilitation of terrorist activities on the part of the Islamic Republic of Iran. On January 15th, it was still a designated terrorist organization. On January 16th, it was no longer designated. It was delisted by the Treasury. And on the following day, executives from Iran Air were involved in the facilitation of that payment of $400 million. It's unclear whether it was an Iran Air plane that was the unmarked cargo plane in question, but we know that they were involved in this transaction. This is important because it certainly suggests that the administration was talking to Iran Air before it was delisted, in other words, when it was still a terrorist organization. It's also worth noting that the Obama Justice Department has identified Iran Air back as far as 2009 as the facilitator of transfers of IED parts to Iraq. And of course, we know that 196 American servicemen were killed, many more injured as a result of Iranian-made IEDs.
I only have about 30 seconds here, but how difficult is it to delist somebody from a list at the Treasury that's designating them a terrorist organization? Does it just happen in 24-hour time?
No, it doesn't, and this was, I mean, usually it takes a long time, and it's a legal battle. Iran Air was delisted as part of the Iranian nuclear deal. I don't believe it was delisted based on the actual criteria one would usually go through. It was delisted because of a political deal that was struck on an international stage.
Of course, the official line from the State Department and from the administration is these are two different tracks, the payment and the nuclear deal, but this raises some interesting questions about the timing of it all. Jonathan, appreciate that insight. Thank you very much.
Anytime.